They thought crossing the bridge meant survival. They were wrong, because on the other side, the real fight was just beginning. This is hour 1. The moment the survivors realized the outbreak wasn't the end, but the beginning of a war no one was prepared for. Jace, Mara, Lena, and Arlo collapsed behind the barricades, surrounded by soldiers barking orders. Gunfire echoed behind them as the infected swarmed the bridge, bodies piling against metal barriers. Lena clutched her student, now trembling, traumatized but alive. Mara's hands were shaking so violently she dropped her medical bag. Jace could barely breathe, and Arlo stared blankly at the horde across the river, wondering if Dex survived. A soldier knelt beside them.
"You're lucky," he said. "This sector won't hold much longer."
Those words hit like a punch. They had barely escaped, and yet escape meant nothing if the infected pushed through. The survivors looked at each other, exhausted, terrified, but alive, for now. The military escorted them into Sector 9, a makeshift safe zone set up in an abandoned shipping yard. Rows of tents, medical stations, crying families, wounded soldiers. It didn't look like salvation. It looked like surrender. Mara stepped forward immediately, helping medics treat the wounded. Her medical training kicked in like instinct, anything to keep her mind from the horrors behind her. Jace checked on Lena and her student, promising they'd stick together. He didn't know why he said it, maybe because he needed to believe it himself. Arlo wandered toward the tents filled with tech, maps, surveillance screens, radio equipment. He wasn't a fighter, but maybe he could be useful. But even inside the safe zone, one question hung heavy between them. What happened to Dex? Across the river, Dex ran. He vaulted fences, ducked through alleys, and fired only when he had no choice. But he was running out of ammo and blood. The infected chased relentlessly, faster than before, smarter, more coordinated. Dex climbed onto a fire escape, gasping, his vision fading. He looked across the river at the safe zone, a world away.
"Hope you made it."
A shadow lunged at him, but he wasn't done fighting. Back in Sector 9, the survivors soon realized something terrifying. The infection wasn't staying outside. A soldier collapsed near a supply truck, bitten earlier, but hiding the wound. The transformation hit fast, violent, horrific. The infected soldier attacked a medic before anyone could react. Panic exploded through the camp. Screams, chaos, the same nightmare. Inside the walls, Jace grabbed a metal pipe and pulled Mara away from the melee. Lena shielded her student, forcing them behind overturned crates. Arlo froze again, until he saw a soldier trying to radio command and failing. Static, jammed signals. Someone had to warn the command post. Arlo made a decision he didn't know he was capable of. He ran through the chaos, dodging infected and soldiers alike until he reached the communications tent. There he grabbed a headset and forced his shaking voice to steady.
"Sector 9 is compromised. We need evacuation or reinforcements, now!"
Silence, then a voice.
"Copy that. Hold position. Help is coming."
But it didn't sound reassuring, it sounded like a lie. The military attempted a fast evacuation, loading survivors into trucks. But the infected poured in from the eastern fence, overwhelming guards. Jace fought to reach Lena and the student. Mara tried to help wounded civilians who couldn't run. Arlo kept yelling into the radio, begging for reinforcement. Then the worst possible sound shook the air. The northern gate buckled and collapsed. The infection surged into the heart of the camp. Jace realized they weren't evacuating people. The trucks weren't leaving. They were containment trucks, not rescue. The military wasn't trying to save the survivors. They were trying to trap the infection before it spread further. Lena looked at the armed soldiers forming a line behind the civilians.
Are they locking us in?
Jace's gut sank.
Yes.
They couldn't stay. They couldn't trust the military. They couldn't outrun the infected. They needed a plan. Arlo pointed to a service gate near the loading docks, still unwatched. Still open, still their only chance. Jace led the way. Mara followed, dragging her medical pack. Lena carried the student. Arlo used a discarded stun baton, clutching it with trembling fingers. The infected were everywhere. But Dex had taught them something. You don't survive by being the strongest, but by refusing to give up. They sprinted through the chaos, sliding under collapsing scaffolding, dodging infected leaping from shipping containers. Behind them, Sector 9 burned. Ahead of them, the unknown. They slipped through the service gate just as soldiers closed in behind them. The survivors collapsed in an empty alley outside the zone, breathing hard, hearts pounding, covered in sweat and blood. They were outside the fences, outside the infection wave, outside the military control, but they were also alone. No supplies, no allies, no Dex, just the four of them in a dead city.
What do we do now?
Jace looked toward the distant skyline, smoke rising into the clouds. Arlo nodded slowly. Lena held her student close, and in the shadows behind them, unseen, Dex watched from the ruins, alive, wounded, but following them. The story continues. This is Hour 1, and the apocalypse has only just begun.